የገባቸው ቀኔው የኢትዮጵያዊነት ሰንደቋን የያዙ ቆመው ለመስዋዕት የደፈራትን እያሳፈሩ የወደዳትን እያከበሩ ዘቆመውላ ስንት ዓመት ኖሩ። ዛሬ በቀን ቢሰጡ ድርሻ ሳትወጣ ዳገት ሳትገባ ጢሻ ድንበሯ ሰፊ ቢሰጡ ሀገር የሌላካቸው ጠበበ መንደር ሀገር በመንደር ማዳት ጥላ የአባቶችህን አደራ ክብላ ለሙት ስማት በደንብ አስተውል ዘር ሞተ ሳይሆን ሀገር ሞተች ባል
ኢትዮጵያን ብሎ ብዙ የሚባስን ለሀገር ብሎ ይሰጣል ነፍሱን ቀን ተገኝቶ ሚሰራ የሚነጋገር ከአምላኩ ጋራ የባለ ሀገር ልጅ የዚያ ከብራራ ክንደ ብርቱ ነኝ ደፋር ጠንካራ ደሙ ከሞቀ ከቶ የማይበርድ በጠላት መሃል የሚያርበደብድ አይዞሽ ሀገሬ አይዞሽ ሀገሬ አይዞሽ ሀገሬ አይዞሽ ሀገሬ።
እሺ ኦኬ እሷን ሔርሜላ መጣለች። እሷን ተመልሼ ያስገባል። እሷ ስገባ እንግዲህ ሆፕፉሊ እንደሚሰማ ቼክ እናደርጋለን። ሔርሜላ you live whenever you're back will continue. Can you guys still hear me? ሳይቆራረጥ ይሰማል ወይ? አሁን ቅድም ይቆራረጣል ብላችሁ ነበረ። እስቲ አሁን ደግሞ እንደሚሰማ ተስፋ አለኝ። ኦኬ እሺ እንግዲህ ውሃ ልታመጣ ሄዳ ይሆናል። whenever she comes back will continue. ጥያቄዎቻችሁ ቅድም የጠየቃችሁ በውስጥ የጠየቃችሁ ካልተመለሰ ጥያቄዎቻችሁ ላኩ። ኮሜንት መጻፍ የማትችሉ ሰዎች በውስጥ በጥያቄው ምልክት ላይ ምርትልኩ I'm only gonna put out the question, whatever good questions that comes on the comment. If I don't see she sees it, we'll answer. She will answer it. Okay, now they say they could Yari to ask her about how TPLF trapped the people of Tigray, especially how they made you know, like the little question mark on your screen. I'll put it. It's a long question, but if you put that, you'll see all the questions that comes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay.
So you can answer any other question.
I feel like there are a lot of people who are Tigrayan but question what's happening on the ground and want to be on the side of truth. Don't you think we should push out those people to come out and speak and change that narrative? Yeah, I mean, I would love that. Like, I would love this to be a much bigger conversation. I don't want to be one of the, you know, couple of handfuls of people that are speaking up online that are Tigrayan. I just don't know how to do that. I mean, yeah. I thought that what I was asking and saying was just logical. So, and then the fact that there's so much animosity to it. I guess things can change maybe when people start to feel the impact in their own way, maybe they'll change. But yeah, I would love to see more Tigrayans join this conversation. This should not be a conversation where Tigrayans are on one side and the rest of Ethiopia is on the other side. I mean, we have to be realistic, right? We're going to share this country, right? We have to live in that country together. So it's just, even for their own sake, to be able to have a more balanced conversation, I think is important. I think to some extent we underestimate how much of a bully so much of the pro-TPLF folks are, and just the some people in the community are, and I assume that's why some people are not wanting to come out. But I also see a lot of people just making a choice, right? They just are making a choice to stay with the narrative they believed in the beginning. It's not fun or to say, yeah, I didn't get it, I was wrong. Like, I just did not have the full context. I was still gathering information, and now that I've got more information, I think something different. Like, it's you know, like, you kind of have to have some humility to that. Like, yeah, I look back on things I wrote, things I said, and I'm like, yeah, I didn't know what I was talking about. Like, you know, because I just had gotten into that game. Like, I just started to pay attention to what was going on in Ethiopia when the war started, when so many people had been paying attention for 20 years. So I had a lot to catch up on. And that's okay. That's okay. If people said, hey, I really thought it was a genocide. I did hear about some things that happened to people that I know or back there, but now I see that maybe that wasn't like a, you know, the government trying to just hurt a bunch of civilians. Maybe it was just a casualty of war and some rogue people doing, you know, wrong things. I really think that we all have to work together for peace. I would love to hear Tigran saying that.
Okay. Do you think the U.S. policy on Ethiopia is flawed and U.S. sanction on Ethiopia good policy or a violation of Ethiopian sovereignty?
Do you think U.S. policy on Ethiopia is flawed? U.S. sanctions on Ethiopia are a good policy? I mean, I literally can just, we all know that answer, especially after yesterday.
Yeah. I like I said, whoever put that money, I hope you have a 30-day refund policy because that was a joke. How can we fix the ethnic division in Ethiopia? Or what do you think? What do you think would fix that? Or if not fix it, at least open up our eyes and to somehow come to a dialogue to avoid people being divided based on ethnic. I don't know any other country. Me personally.
Okay, so let's read some of these Tigran comments to get a sense of what we need to do to build this division, right? I really want to know what makes you want to change your mind because 3 months ago you had a different opinion. Okay, so I literally have answered this question a million times, but let me answer it again to a Tigran and see if that does something, right? So what I believe is that the political group was creating the narrative to be able to say it was a genocide, and now we have no proof that it's a genocide, right? So that's a reason to maybe change your mind. What I believe is that a lot of poor Tigrans don't have a voice, are being pushed into war. And we have stories of that where they're not going in equipped and they die, right? So that's a reason to maybe change your mind. Maybe let's not go all the way into war and try to go all the way into Addis because a lot of Tigrans are going to die, right? So if you care about Tigrans, that's a reason to maybe call for peace instead of rooting for the rebel group to go into Addis and kill more people. What else? Yeah, I think the ceasefire was a moment that maybe I expected more Tigrayans to change their mind. And then I think that if you're going to say everybody from one ethnicity is this way, we're so great, and everyone from ethnicities, we're so bad, then what you're doing is you're creating a scenario where you're going to be hated. And that's a reason to change your mind because you don't want to be hated just for being Tigrayan, and you don't want your children's generation to be hated just for being Tigrayan. So there's that. So to me, a lot of this falls on Tigrayans. That's just the truth. It falls on Tigrayans to choose a more moderate position, and then I think a lot of people will come together. One more. This is actually exemplary of a lot of the activist voices. Oh my God, are you even normal? I thought it was temporary and all you're doing was because you were mad, but you are such crazy, cruel woman. Reza. So let's open it up. What do you think is going to take to build a connection with that person?
With the person writing that comment?
Yeah, and those kind of people. The people that do not hear anything that I say and that just think because I was Tigrayan I was supposed to agree with them. It's all people like
that's the problem. I think you should support based on fact, not based on ethnicity. And the fact that we have to discuss ethnicity at this time of our life is just sad as it is. But like that's what I was saying earlier. It's a choice that people consciously make to just be that. To me it's an unfortunate decision, but it's a decision that they have made and they have to somehow live with it.
Yeah. I think there's no more babysitting, no more babysitting people's feelings. If you're Tigrayan and you're still rooting for this country to go down and for this armed rebel group to take the country down, nobody should babysit your feelings anymore. So what I would say is tell your friends the truth. Tell your friends what it is. Don't stay silent so you don't offend them. Tell them what it really is and that this is not going to be good for anybody, including Tigrayans.
Okay. This one is a long one, but thank you for owning up your own wrongs and acknowledging the truth, but you hurt the amount of people by you tweeted on my Kadra, the only genocide that happened during the community PLF Tigray where 1,500 were killed. Thank you.
Sure. Answer that. So there's some people, who want me to apologize in words about things I got wrong. The reason I don't do that is because I think people become insatiable when you respond to that. I think my actions have said something different. I think my actions have shown something different. I think they've shown that I've learned. And so to me, that is an apology. I'm not going to stop every time that I've grown from something and say, because some specific person asked me to apologize when they see what I'm doing. So I recognize that people have been hurt by things I didn't understand. And I also hope that people recognize what I'm doing is bigger than just saying, I'm sorry.
Can we acknowledge the pure negligence of the pro-TPLF side? They're directly aiming to destabilize the country and acting like the victim. Don't you think maybe we should stop seeing them as one of our own, because they clearly don't?
Who is this? Oh, someone's saying this about Tigrayans?
Yeah, the question that popped up.
Oh, okay, sorry, I'm looking. Oh, I see, got it. Can we acknowledge the pure negligence of the pro-TPLF side? They're directly aiming to destabilize the country. Oh, yeah, the pro-TPLF side for sure. I thought they were just saying Tigrayans. Yeah.
No, like the pro-TPLF side. Can we acknowledge that the pure negligence of the pro-TPLF side? They're directly aiming to destabilize the country and acting like the victim.
Yeah,
don't you think maybe we should stop seeing them as one of our own, because they clearly don't?
What does that look like? What does it mean if you say that they're not your own? I mean, there's still people that live in the country. So, what's the goal of that, right? Like, so you say you're not one of our own, they still hold on to whatever they say, and you still have to share a country with them. So I don't really see what the result of that is that's worth anything.
Okay. If you guys can make the questions short so that I could put the whole thing on the screen, it would be easier. Some of them is like very long. What do you suggest to famous Ethiopians that sit in silence because they do not want to forfeit their celebrated, celebrated?
That's a tricky one. I can't really, I can't really judge. I don't know what people have at stake and why they're making the decisions that they do. If they're, if they have a high profile. So I don't know. I think people have the reasons for doing what they're doing. I hope as many people as can speak out, but I can't just make a blanket judgment on that.
Okay. How can you explain about Amnesty's report on Ethiopia and how that affects Ethiopia's image?
Is that the massacre report or the recent one about?
I don't know what they're referring about. That's what it says.
Yeah, I think Amnesty has shown to be pretty biased. They're not here for Ethiopia. They're here for their own money raising thing. So, I mean, I recently saw something about how they use like the rape of women in Tigray to fundraise. So I don't put too much weight on what places like Amnesty say anymore.
Okay. Most Tigrayan and diaspora online say they're no longer Ethiopians. Your thoughts on this?
Is there a country called Tigray? Like, I don't know of one, so I don't really see what the point of saying that is.
Okay. If I'm looking at the questions that come inside. So if you see something on the comments, just pick one, because when I open that, it covers the comments. I don't see the comment.
What do you suggest for Tigray people who still support TPLF? I would say, like, wake up. Like, now is probably a really good time to wake up. Like, because any later than now is too late. Like, this is the 11th hour. This is the 11th hour, and the people that could make that difference are Tigrayans that have been supporting TPLF all this time. Everybody else has been on this for a long time, right? And that's going to be what tips things over. That's going to be what tips the conversation over in the direction of stable and peace. So just wake up. There's enough information out there. I don't really know what else to tell you. It's not working. It's not going to serve the people of Tigray. It's not going to serve Tigrayans everywhere. So you can't destroy your house and then think you're going to be fine. So I would say now is a good time for people to wake up. We've been down with a pro TPLF activist. Not right now. No.
Okay. One of the questions that came is, what can we do to help you as far as with the work that you do, and how could people? I know you touched on it earlier, but in case people weren't there on a previous live, to just touch up on it. So one, what can we do to help you with your independent journalism, and two, how could the youth or the people who are watching this and who will watch it later on be active and engage in a productive way that supports the country, not any specific agenda, but about the country?
Good question. So as I think a lot of you guys know, I've gone more independent. I can't be doing all this and be with the network that I'm with. So I sort of have to make this decision to either kind of fall back or to just go forward and then not be working with them for the time being, right? So that is why I started a Patreon account. Patreon's like for independent artists, journalists. And it's a membership thing, patreon.com/HermelaTV, PATREON. And it could be $5 a month, or it's like NPR, right? It's like a member. So you can choose the amount and it's a membership for the year. Or you can go to my GoFundMe, which is on my Facebook page and my Twitter pages as well. You know, whatever you feel like contributing, because this is what I'm doing right now because I feel that passionate about it. I don't know if this is what I'll always be doing. But I've started a nonprofit media company called Mela Media. And so that's what this is all going to be built around. You know, there's so much work that at some point that'll probably need to other staff. So hopefully that will grow into something beyond me, because there's so much work to be done in this regard. So
do you have the link for your GoFundMe and then the other web that you said? Do you have it in your bio here on Instagram?
I'll put it on there. I may not have. I may have a story in there instead of but I'll put it in my profile.
Okay. Yeah, I think that would help. And for those who do not follow her, ሄርሜላን የማታውቁ ፎሎ የማታደርጓት ካላችሁ ፎሎ አድርጓት። የምትሰራውን ስራ የምታደርገውን ነገር ሁላችንም እያየን እየሰማን ነው። እንደዚህ አይነት ነገር እኔ በግሌ ያስፈልገናል ባይነኝ። በዚህም በዛም ሳይሆን ትክክለኛ አይነት ዜናዎችን የምንሰማበት፣ በእውነት የተመሰረቱ ዘገባዎችን የምንሰማበት የምናይበት ስለሚያስፈልገን ሳይድ መምረጥ ላይ ሳይሆን አገርን ማዳንና እውነተኛን ነገር ይዞ ወደፊት መራመድ አስፈላጊ ስለሆነ ብዙዎቻችን ኢንስታግራም ላይ የምንተዋወቅ ቤተሰቦች በመጫወት በመዝናናት መልካምን ነገር በማድረግ አንድ አመት ከአመት በላይ ያሳልፈናል። ሆኖም ግን ወደፊት መቀጠል የምንችለው አገር ሲኖረን፣ አገራችን ሰላም ስትሆን፣ ህዝባችን ሰላም ሲሆን ነውና በዚህ ዙሪያ እያንዳንዳችን ቀደምም እሷ ብለዋለች የትዊተር አካውንት መክፈት ያስፈልገናል። What was the Twitter account that you said we should follow?
So it's at Horn of Africa Hub. Horn of Africa Hub.
Okay. Horn of Africa Hub የሚል ፔጅ አለ። ከዛ ላይ በመሄድ ትዊት ማድረግ የሚገባንን አክቲቭሊ መጠቀም እንችላለን። ለውጥ ለሀገራችን እናስብ የምንል ከሆነ፣ ለሀገራችን ሰላም እንድትሆን የምንመኝ ከሆነ እያንዳንዳችን ማድረግ የሚገባን ትንሿ ነገር አትሊስት ትዊተር አካውንት ከፍቶ በዛ መንቀሳቀስ ነው። If you get the opportunity to be a leader in Ethiopia, what would be the things that you would change or you would like to see change?
Well, that's a big question.
Or if you get a chance to have a sit down with the Prime Minister, not the question you would ask, but like, what would you recommend that things change for a better Ethiopia?
So I think that if you focus on education to begin with, a lot of things will get fixed over time, right? If you focus on a non-political education, universities and secondary education that focuses on the basics as opposed to teaching you about politics or ethnicity, right? Because I think part of why it's possible to drive people into war every 20 years, particularly in Tigray, is the education is not there, right? People are poor, they don't have that much else to live for. So when it comes time to feel like a hero for fighting for whatever they tell you you're fighting for, it's a lot easier to convince people, right? So sorry. And so that's one. I think that it's a lot easier to like dupe everybody when there's not education. The other thing is, I don't know how you make just ethnicity less of a conversation. Here's one way to make it a little bit easier. I would say the system of checks and balances needs to be there. Like, I think the way the parliament works, like, needs to get reorganized to be truly democratic, to include intellectuals, to include people that will say, no, I disagree with this, I want to say something different. And for that environment to be there for them to say that, because the more that we embrace people that are not political and that really want the best for the country, even when they disagree with us, the stronger the system and the country will be, right? So I think we're working with a lot of what EPRDF created, which is not a fair system. And as long as we keep that system, then it's just a matter of time before a different entity abuses it. So I would say that focus on education, and then focus on creating a system that is more fair and balanced, so that we're not depending on the leader to be nice for things not to be abused, right? There's actually a system that will make sure everybody stays in line. And then in general, I think as a whole, the community, like our community, could be just more tolerant of different ideas, right? Like, it's okay if someone, just even down to like the basics in terms of how people dress and stuff, everyone's very kind of like judgmental and wants to, control that. That's small, little stuff, right? But up to the just certain choices that people want to make, certain ideas that people have that are different, I think that it's just better to have a little bit more tolerance for, even if it doesn't sit with you the first time, just support people's right to have that different opinion.
Okay.
Let's see what else.
I was born in Tigray, however, I don't support this movement of TPLF. And also, do you think both sides have problems? But you know what? Both of the sides have problems. The federal and the TPLF, especially TPLF, those the ones elevate the problem. I was born. Okay, what's the question?
Yes, of course, both sides have problems. Just right now, we're dealing with two very uneven sides.
How do you see the future for Ethiopia?
Hopefully great. Honestly, I really feel, I don't know, I'm not I can't predict, but I think that things might get a little bit worse before they get better. But I really have so much faith in the people of that country, and in just what's possible if we can just weed out these things that are getting in the way and causing divisions and keeping the country at war. There's so much potential. I see what Ethiopians are able to do when they're given the opportunity, right? So I see what is so beautiful about when people really come together for a good cause. Like, our community can be so strong sometimes. And I just hope that becomes like the overlying narrative instead of war. But I do think it's going to take time. I think it's going to be okay. I don't know. That's what I hope anyway.
Okay. Please say something about Twitter. Okay, we already talked about Twitter. We already talked about ethnic. What is your thought on support? What is your thought on supporting the government financially?
It's up to people. I mean, people are supporting rebels. So they're openly fundraising for armed rebels. So if you feel like you want to support your country through fundraising at a critical time, you have every right, and I get it. I get it.
Okay. Is it possible for you to do an interview, Fox News or even CNN? So can you explain them what is really happening?
Yeah, you know, Fox News has come up a lot, which is so interesting. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to go on the platforms that give you the space.
Yeah.
It is what it is. It is what it is. They're not all bad either. You know what I mean? Like, they're not all bad either. They've got some ideas that don't sit well with a lot of folks that are maybe Democratic or liberal. But when you start to go in the direction of thinking, you know, the liberal channels are all right and the conservative channels are all wrong, we go down the same issue of getting it wrong eventually. So I get it. Like, some of those ideas are not, you know, they're valid. The questions that they bring up, and it's just that, you know, both sides end up using it to be very like toxic. But there's nothing wrong with going on Fox. I would go on Fox and talk about this issue. And we do have some stuff in the works with CNN, so hopefully that will happen soon.
Okay. Please ask her how we can reunite as diaspora to release Ethiopia on AGOA, AGOA.
Mm. Oh, this goes back to your question about, you know, what can people do? I think that as much as you can, you have to really participate in telling the story of your country of origin, to speaking up for things when they're wrong. Like you said, a lot of people sort of stayed silent, not to offend people. Maybe even in the past, people could have said more about what was going on. Or I know there was a lot of work being done just because I didn't see it. But, you know, just moving forward, I think everybody has to participate and not feel, you know, we're kind of like a modest culture. Like, people don't feel like they can share their opinions, or at least a lot of people don't, or they don't feel like they can go push something with their Congress people. But you can, like, you have the right. If you're a resident of the US or wherever you are, and you have the right to advocate for things that you think are right.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that we fail to do, or that we don't know we could do. That as citizens, we have voices to be heard by the people who we elect to represent us, and so we could contact our local representative, let them know our voice, be a voice for because this is not an issue just within Ethiopia. Now, this is an issue that international community and this country has involved themselves in it to put pressure in our country. So as a citizen, I have a right to contact my local congresswoman or congressman and say, okay, this is where I stand. So if you don't support me come election time, I can't support you. I will admit, I was a blind supporter of Democrats. Not anymore. I would not 100% just go vote blindly because you're Democrats. Well, now your decisions have affect me and my country. So at the end of the day, you kick me out, I have a place to go back. So I want that place to stay as my country. So we have that power, we have that ability to be a voice for our local congressmen and women, and contact them and let them know that this is where we stand. We are within your district. This is where we stand. We need you to voice that stand that we have. And you don't, well, you know what? Virginia showed. So why can't we stand and make a difference? There is no sitting back and blindly supporting you because you're Democrats. That's me. So I think to answer the question, we all have obligation, and we have the right in this country to contact our elected Congress officials, and to let them know where we stand.
Absolutely. I think, like, you make a really good point. Why would you just support a Democrat just because they're a Democrat? Like, what that really feeds into this, like, gang mentality. You're either on this side or that side, right? That's how politics gets so poisoned. Instead of looking at a person, what are they saying? I mean, I think the system is really difficult here, right? In terms of, like, you feel like you have to support one party because it could affect something, and, like, you know, much more broadly. But I think if you pick and choose, because I remember interviewing a Republican candidate who actually did end up winning here in Southern California, and it's not like I could vote, as he wasn't my district or anything, but I interviewed him and I thought to myself, this guy's saying like really reasonable. I mean, you know, I looked into it, I'm like, seems like a decent person. He's a Republican, but it seems like a decent person saying decent things, asking the right questions. And so you need that balance. If you give all of your power away to one entity because they just say Democrats or they just say Republicans, then they're just going to play you because they know no matter what they do, you'll always vote for them.
We'll always be voting, yeah. Well, I'm awake now, so I would not be blindly voting. I would do my research. To be honest, like come election time or whoever the candidate is, I will do my research and to find out where they stand on issues that affect me, rather than giving you a blank check of go do whatever you please to do with it because you've always been on my side. Well, that doesn't work for me.
We're supporting Trump. That's not the point. And by the way, just for the record, Trump was not bad for Ethiopia.
Record-wise, no.
Yeah.
I think what he said about the Nile Dam and the Abai and all that was what people look at it. But you know, if we're going on record-wise and who has done, Bush has done a lot for Ethiopia than the person that followed him.
So you know, you can make your own decision or make decisions because somebody says crazy things.
Yeah.
Or you can make your decisions because that person or that entity actually is funding a war that is against your elected government. So whichever you think is a bigger deal, I think. But I get it. I get it's like complicated, you know?
Yeah.
People have to make their own decisions about it.
Okay. So since you're into the independent journalism, where can I go, or where can people here go to see your continual report of news work and the work that you do? Is it just on Instagram? Do you have a YouTube that this information? I know you have. I personally know that you have YouTube because when we put together the flyer, we got all your information. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and all that. So, but for those of us who are new, knowing whoሔርሜላ is, and who want to follow and see the work that you do, where can we see it?
Let me see if I can pin it. So somebody actually put it down there, but I don't know if you can pin other people's.
I could. I didn't see it, but yeah.
It's let's see. I just posted it. See if you can pin that. I'm on across all platforms. I'm onሔርሜላ TV. So it's twitter.com/ሔርሜላ TV, youtube.com/ሔርሜላ TV, facebook.com/ሔርሜላ TV, and at Instagram @ሔርሜላ TV.
Okay. So ሔርሜላን መከታተል ማየት የምትሰራው ስራ ማወቅ ለምትፈልጉ ያው ዩቲዩብ የራሷ ዩቲዩብ አላት youtube.com/ሔርሜላ TV ሔርሜላ TV ብላችሁ pretty much ነው ሶሻል ሚዲያ ፕላትፎርም ብትፈልጓት እዛ ላይ ታገኛታላችሁ። ትዊተር አካውንት ክፈቱ፣ ትዊተር ላይ አክቲቭ ሁኑ፣ በዛ ዙሪያ ፎሎ እናድርግ፣ ዩቲዩብን ሰብስክራይብ እናድርግ። እንደዚህ መልካም የሚሰሩ ወገኖቻችንን ማበረታታት መደገፍ ምርጫ ሳይሆን ግዴታችን ነው ብዬ አምናለሁ። ምክንያቱም እውነቱን ነው ሰምተን ውሳኔዎቻችንን መወሰን የምንፈልገው እንደዚህ አይነት ነገር የሚያቀርቡልን መደገፍ ተገቢ ነው። እንኳን ይሄን ሌላም ነገሮች ሰብስክራይብ እናደርጋለን። Let me try to get a couple more questions and then I'll give you the platform to say anything you want before we finish it.
Well, this is so great.
How can people stay consistent to advocate the truth and be active on social media? Can you talk about that? And in addition to that, I think what I was saying earlier was we lack consistency. We get up when we go protest about something and we're done. We have done our due diligence. Those who go out and protest, they do part and we go. We don't have consistency. What we see from others is that they're consistent for whatever stuff that they believe in. They actively, they follow the message. They actively participate on the things that they do. We do lack that consistency for whatever reason it was in the past. And I don't think we can sit back and say, no, it's politics. No, it's not politics. In my opinion, it's about Ethiopia or no Ethiopia. So, what do you say? Like and to add to it, we do lack consistency. for whatever reason. I don't know why, but what do you say to that?
Yeah, I mean, I get people have a lot going on, you know, I get people have work, you're trying to balance out your family and things like that. So, you know, when you compare with what's happening for a lot of people on the Tigray genocide side, they have abandoned everything. They're ignoring their families, they're ignoring their friends. I don't know if they're even doing their jobs all the way in some cases. Like, they get up every morning and tweet for Tigray, or they did for a long time. I don't know if they're still doing that. So I don't think that's healthy either. I think that you have to pay attention to you, your health, your family, and your friends. So I'm not going to sit up here and say to people, you need to devote all this time to this because this is, you know, a time of emergency. But I would say, as much as you can participate in a few ways, like Twitter. Twitter shouldn't take up much of your time because of the way that we've set it up. Just please make sure you use the Linktree hub so you're not, you know, you're tweeting into a certain conversation that is growing. If you know, look up who your congress member is, you know, it's good to know anyway. You know, it's good to have it for the future. I think that it's difficult when you're first starting to build communities or relationships with your politicians when something goes bad. So this won't be something that it will be a waste if you can just figure out who your local people are and who can advocate for you, and just call them, leave messages, you know, write, and, you know, just remember this is a long game right now, and it won't always be this critical. Right now is just that window. It's really critical. So if you can devote a little bit extra time to it, I think we'd all feel better in terms of feeling like, okay, we tried, you know.
Okay. So, you know, what we do is that we have been doing for the past a little over a year. We used our platform here on Instagram. Our family is called Dumbwa Family. We used our platform for over a year to do fundraising and to give back to help. This was all during COVID that it started. We were able to give 10 million birr to a variety of people. We have even contributed to Tigray and Matakal at the time. We donate and help. The way we raise money is by doing challenge. So it would be unfair if I let you get off this live without any challenge. I would not make it a lot harder challenge, but in all fairness, so that you can join this challenge, my challenge for you is, can you say something about your message for about 2 minutes in Amharic? Put whatever words together, and you have to you have to make a statement in Amharic so that you take part in this challenge.
I'm gonna freeze up. Let's see. So just about what the cause is, or what we have to do?
And just in general, make a statement of summarize everything that has been going on in this live.
Okay, fine. Let's try. So you said 2 minutes, right?
Strictly Bamarinya bicha.
Okay, let's try. Are you counting down?
Yeah, I got time. Yeah, go ahead. እንግሊዘኛ መጠቀም አይቻልም።
እሺ ኦኬ ታሪኬን ልግለጽ። ኦኬ መጀመሪያ ጦርነት ሲጀመር ሁሉም ዜና ውስጥ ያለው እያመንኩ ነበረ አይደል? ሶ ሲኤንኤን ኤፒ ላይ ኒውዮርክ የሚወጣው እያመንኩ ነበረ ክስ ጋዜጠኛ ነኝ። የእውነት ስራ የሚሰሩ መስሎኝ ነበረ። እናቴም ትግራይ ነበረች። ስለዛ በጣም እከታተል ነበረ ሁሉም ነገር። You're having a good time. So ከዛ ነው የተጀመርኩት or ከዛ ነው የጀመርኩት። So ከትግራይ አክቲቪስቱ አስቶቹ ስሰራ ለሰው ብዬ ነበረ፣ ለፖለቲካ አይደለም የገባሁት። ግን ሳያቸው ብዙ ሰው የሁማኒታሪያን ጉዳይ ምንም አልመሰለውም። እውነት ሳየው የፖለቲካ ነው አንደኛው የጨነቃቸው።
you're stretching the minute by saying no, I'm counting the times that you're talking. Cutting.
Yeah. Okay. So any ethnicity race ምናምን ነገር ምንም አይመስለኝም ከሁሉም ሰው ነው ያደኩት አይደል ሚሲሲፒ ኖራለሁ Tennessee ኖራለሁ Boston so ብዙ ጓደኞቼ like backgroundaቸው በጣም diverse ነው ስለዛ አላምንበትም የኤትኒሲቲ ወይ ፖለቲካ ምናምን አላምንበትም ሁላችን ሰው ነን ሁላችን በሰላም መኖር እንፈልጋለን ሁላችን ኤጁኬሽን ያስፈልገናል የጤና ጥበቃ አክሰስ ያስፈልገናል እሱ ነው ማውራት አለብን or ለሱ ነው ማውራት አለብን የቲፒኤልኤፍ ወይ government ምናምን ያን የጦርነት ያን I mean የትም አይወስደንም
አይ ጥሩ ነው አስተያየት አድርጌልሽ ነው እንጂ 2 ደቂቃ አልሞላም አስተያየት አድርጌ ነው እንጂ 2 ደቂቃ አልሞላም
Oh really?
ግን ይሁን ችግር የለም ያው ለመጀመሪያ ጊዜ ስለሆነ ችግር የለም ሄርሜላ ጊዜሽን ወስደሽ ፈቃደኛ ሆነሽ መጥተሽ ስለተሳተፍሽ በእኔም በዚህም ቤተሰብ ስም እጅግ አድርጌ አመሰግናለሁ I think ብዙ መስማትና መማር የሚያስፈልገን ነገር ሰምተናል ተምረናል ብዬ አምናለሁ በተለይ እንዳንቺ አይነት አመጣጥ ያለው ሰው በእንደዚህ አይነት ሁኔታ ሆኖ ነገሮችን መናገር ቀላል እንዳልሆነ ብዙ ነገሮች በህይወትሽ ፈተና እንደመጡ ነግረሽናል ሆኖም ግን ከዛ ሁሉ አልፈሽ እውነት ይበልጣልና ለእውነቱ መቆም አለብኝ ብለሽ አንቺ ነቅተሽ እኛንም ስላነቃቃሽን እጅግ አድርገን እናመሰግናለን ጥሬና ክብሬ ስለመጣሽ በእውነት እጅግ አድርጌ አመሰግናለሁ መልካም ቅዳሜ ይሁንልሽ መልካም ጊዜ
so much
በጣም አመሰግናለሁ
Thanks talk to you soon
እሺ
bye
ciao እንግዲህ የነበራችሁትን በሙሉ እጅግ አድርጌ አመሰግናለሁ ጥሩ ጊዜ እና ትምህርት ያገኘንበት ነገር እንደሆነ ተስፋ አደርጋለሁ ሄርሜላን የማታውቁ ፕሊዝ ፔጇን ፎሎ አድርጓት በተለያዩ ፕላትፎርሞች ላይ ማግኘት ትችላላችሁ ይህችን እህታችን በመትሰራው ስራ በማበረታታት እውነቱን በመስማት እውነተኛውን ነገር በመከተል ሁላችንም ለሀገራችን ማድረግ የሚገባንን እናድርግ ኢትዮጵያ በማለት የሚያሳፍር ነገር አይደለም ልናፍርም አይገባንም በኢትዮጵያዊነታችን ኮርተን ቀና ብለን ቀጥለን ወደፊት ሀገራችንን ሰላም የምናደርግበትን መንገድ ሁላችንም እንድንሳተፍ በአክብሮት ጠይቃለሁ መልካም ቅዳሜ ይሁንላችሁ በተቻለ መጠን ጥያቄዎችን በሙሉ የመጡትን ጽፌያቸው የነበሩትን በሙሉ ለመጠየቅ ሞክሬያለሁ ከዛ በተጨማሪ በዚህ የመጡትን ጥያቄዎች በኮሜንት ያየናቸውን ጥያቄዎች በሙሉ አስተናግደናል መልሰናል መልካም ቅዳሜ እንግዲህ እንደጀመራችሁ ለመሸባችሁ መልካም ቅዳሜ እንዳሳልፋችሁ ተስፋ እናደርጋለን በእያላችሁበት ሰላም ሁኑ ሀገራችንን ሰላም ያርግልን ለሚቀጥለው ሳምንት ሌላ እንግዳ ይዤ ለመምጣት ሞክራለሁ ከተመቻቸ አሳውቃችኋለሁ የፕሮግራም እንዲሳካ የተባበረችንን ቲጂን ሄርሜላን አገናኝታ ላደረገችው ቲጂን አመሰግናለሁ ፍላየሩን በመስራት ሚኪ ለማና ማስማን ለተባበራችሁ በሙሉ እጅግ አድርጌ አመሰግናለሁ ይህ በደንብ እንዲታይ ብዙ ሰው መጥቶ እንዲሳተፍበት ልኬላችሁ ፍላየሮቹን በየስቶሪዎቻችሁ ሼር አደረጋችሁ ለጓደኞቻችሁ ያስተላልፋችሁ እዚህ ላይ መተን እንድንሳተፍ እንድንማር ሄርሜላን ድምጿን እንድንሰማና መልእክቷን እንድንቀበል እድሉን ላደረጋችሁ በሙሉ እጅግ አድርጌ አመሰግናለሁ መልካም ጊዜ መልካም ቀን መልካም ምሽት በእያላችሁበት ሰላም ይሁንላችሁ ትርጉሙን በሚቀጥለው ላይ ገብቼ አስተላልፍላችኋለሁ አገራችን
ሰላም ተበበ መንደር አገር በመንደር ካርዳት ትላ ያባቶችህን አደራ ትብላ ለሙስማት በደንብ አስተውል ዘር ሞተ ሳይሆን ሀገር ሞተች
ኢትዮጵያን ብሎ ብዙ የሚባስን ለሀገር ብሎ ይሰጣል ነፍሱን ከኔ ተገኝቶ ጥበብ የሚዘራ የሚነጋገር ከአምላኩ ጋር የባለ ሀገር ልጅ የዚያ ቀብራራ ክንደ ብርቱ ነኝ ደፋር ጠንካራ ደሙ ከሞቀ ከቶ የማይበርድ በጠላት መሀል የሚያርበደብድ
ኮከብ በአምሳሉ ስሎኝ ከኢትዮጵያ አፈር ጠፍጥፎ ፈጥሮኝ በቀኔው አድጌ በወግ በባህል ወንድሙን ገዳይ አልሆንም ጋይል እናት እናቴ እማወራዋ ለሁላችንም የምሳሳዋ አባት አባቴ ያገር ዘበኛ ሰው አስታራቂ ሀቀኛ ዳኛ